The Fly by Pat McManus, read by Jenny McAllister. I have long known that the employees most informed about the inner workings of a business or institution are the janitors. After everyone else has gone home for the day, the janitors move quietly and efficiently through the empty offices, sweeping, mopping, dusting, snooping. In the unlikely event I ever become president of a company, my first order of business will be to promote the janitor to executive vice president. Then I'll call him into my office and say, "All right, Herb, I want you to tell me what's going on in the company. Care for a drink before we begin? I think I have a bottle of scotch around here someplace." "Lower left drawer of your desk," Herb will reply, "right behind your box of El Puffo cigars, which, I might add, are excellent." I am something of an authority on the janitorial profession, having swept my way through 4 years of college. By graduation, I had cleaned and snooped every building on campus. Janitoring was an education in itself, and my only regret is that I didn't barter some university secrets for a full professorship. As the only tenured sophomore on the faculty, I might have had more luck with girls. My first janitorial assignment was in a creepy old science building. To an English major, all science buildings are creepy, but this one was creepier than most. It housed an abundance of icky things. A container occupied by a mass of ugly little beetles working diligently to clean the flesh off skeletons. Cages filled with thousands of flies buzzing angrily over not being able to get out and annoy people. A dissection room where jars of pickled pink things lined the shelves. A human skeleton dangled unhappily from a metal hanger, and ominous stainless steel coolers lined the walls beneath grotesque charts of persons wearing not only no clothes, but no skin. Yuck. My first night on the job, Phil and Steve, the other 2 student janitors, took me on a tour of the building. I gave a small shudder as we looked in on the Beatles box. "This is the creepiest thing I've seen yet," I said. "Really?" Phil said. "That means you haven't met Raymond." "Raymond?" "Yeah, Raymond's our boss, the head janitor of Boris Karloff Science Building." "What's so creepy about him?" "Among other things, he lurks. You'll be cleaning out a room and suddenly you'll see Raymond standing off in a corner, lurking. Makes your skin crawl." We moved on to a departmental office. Steve pointed to a box of chocolates on a secretary's desk. "Always remember to exercise caution in your foraging," Steve said. "Foraging?" I said. "Yeah, it's the student janitor's version of living off the land. Secretaries are always leaving goodies out on their desks. Candy, cookies, nuts. It's our belief that they are responding to a deep psychological urge to share them with us. On the other hand, there is a remote possibility that the secretaries intend these goodies solely for their own consumption. Therefore, in an effort to avoid hostilities between secretaries and student janitors, it is best if you sample the goodies in such a way that the foraging goes undetected. Do I make myself clear?" "We don't want to get caught stealing goodies." "Correct." Steve then demonstrated his goodie snitching technique, lifting one edge of the lid of the chocolate box slightly and peering through the crack. He explained that he was looking for a booby trap. I laughed. "No joke," Steve said. "Also, in the case of chocolates, make sure the one you select hasn't been tampered with. A secretary over in sociology loaded a massive charge of chocolate-flavored laxative into a choice morsel and almost wiped out Charlie Fisk." "That's terrible," I said. "Yeah, and poor Charlie wasn't even the one who ate it. He was just an innocent bystander. So be on your guard." Later that evening, I met Raymond. Only a few years older than I, the head janitor was a pudgy, pasty fellow in bib overalls who obviously treasured his power over the 3 impoverished student janitors. His piggish little eyes shone with the happy and sadistic malice often found in persons given authority far in excess of their intelligence. "So this is what they sent me this time," he sneered at me by way of greeting. "Probably don't know one end of a broom from the other." "The big end goes on the floor," I said. "Did I get it right?" "Oh ho," Raymond replied. "I see I got me another wise guy to go with the other 2. Well, I'm going to be watching you, and I better not find a speck of dust in any of the rooms you clean. Just for smarting off, you can clean the floors that's got the room with all them caged flies." Raymond allowed himself a shudder. "Flies give me the willies ever since I saw that movie, The Fly. The one with Vincent Price in it. Guy got turned into a fly. Ugh, nasty. Hope you enjoy cleaning the fly room." Whatever his other shortcomings, Raymond proved to be true to his threats. He hounded me constantly from then on, and Phil and Steve didn't make out much better. Raymond was creepy, too. I would be cleaning an office, and all at once the short hairs on my neck would snap to attention. I'd glance around, and there would be Raymond, in a shadowy corner, watching, lurking, smirking. "Raymond's really got me spooked," Phil said one night. "This guy's too weird. I feel this terrible urge to take a shower in carbolic acid every time he gets within 5 feet of me." "But what can we do?" I said. "I don't know," Phil said. "We need to find something to keep him occupied so he stops his lurking. My nerves can't stand it." A few nights later, Raymond came up with yet another chore for me. "I just got orders that someone on this crew has to lower the flag on the campus tower every night." "Can't be me," I said. "I hate heights." "Good," Raymond said. "You're it then." Lowering the flag required me to climb straight up a 100-foot steel ladder fastened to an inside wall of the tower. One slip and I would plummet to the concrete floor below. I didn't really mind, though, because I'd always enjoyed climbing. After lowering and folding the flag, I took a few moments to look out over the campus and enjoy a few moments free from the lurking presence of Raymond. I watched the tiny figures of harried students scurrying in and out of the library, riding bikes across the mall, chatting in groups outside the Student Union building, and hunching over their desks in their dorm rooms. Dorm rooms? Apparently, the campus authorities were unaware that from the vantage point of the tower, a person could see right into the upper story windows of a woman's dorm. A peeping Tom's dream come true. Naturally, I was appalled. Upon returning to the janitor's room, I complained to Raymond. "I hate this job. My hands get so sweaty I could lose my grip on the ladder and fall and go splat all over that concrete floor." "So you go splat," Raymond said. "I don't see the problem. There just ain't no way you're going to get out of lowering the flag. That's it. I don't want to hear no more about it." "Okay," I said. "Oh, by the way, did you know that it's possible to see right into the windows of a woman's dorm from the top of the tower? If some sleazy, slimy pervert ever got access to the tower, I'm sure he'd have a field day." All right, stop your whining," Raymond said. "If you hate climbing the tower so much, I guess I'll have to lower the flag myself." Although I never expected to find any redeeming qualities in Raymond, he soon demonstrated a profound sense of patriotism, or so I assumed from the fact that it took him an hour or more every night just to lower and fold the flag. I expected to be congratulated by my fellow janitors for providing us with some relief from Raymond, but Phil and Steve were both shocked. "Don't you realize what you've done?" Phil said. "You've allowed that creepy pervert to violate the privacy of the women's dorm. The very least you could have done is turn the job over to me. Sure, I'm a pervert, but at least I'm not creepy." I soon drifted into a comfortable routine of janitoring. Sweep, sweep. Dust, dust. Snoop, snoop. Out of the old American belief that it's wrong to steal, I made every effort to resist foraging. But one night my conscience was pinned to the mat by a can of mixed nuts on a secretary's desk. Phil was sick, and I was cleaning one of his floors, where he had apparently been foraging excessively. I decided that the secretary wouldn't mind my liberating a measly nut or two for the purpose of easing the hunger pains of a famished student. Forgetting Steve's warning about booby traps, I popped off the can's lid, and a spring-loaded rubber snake shot out and arrested several of my vital functions. To further complicate matters, the snake sailed all the way across the room and hid under a piece of furniture. It took me nearly an hour to find the thing and compress it back into the nut can. Foraging was not without its wear and tear on the nervous system, largely because of the secretary's immaturity as evidenced by their childish practical jokes. The icy winds of winter eventually snuffed the flame of Raymond's patriotism. He was soon back to lurking, and I was soon back to lowering the flag. I heaved a sigh of relief upon discovering that even on the top floor of the dorm, the women were closing their window blinds at night. As winter tightened its grip on the campus, the lives of the student janitors seemed to alternate between the twin horrors of study and work. To introduce a little excitement into our boring existence, we began to plot little practical jokes to play on Raymond. Phil and I decided to first test out a prank on Steve to see what bugs needed to be worked out before pulling it on the head janitor. We unscrewed half the light bulbs in the dissection room, leaving a large area in shadow. On the night of the experiment, I arrived at the test site too late to assist. Phil had gone ahead without me. By the time I got there, Phil was hooking an arm back into the skeleton, and Steve was standing ramrod straight with his back to us. I got the feeling Steve might be a little disgusted that we would use him to test out a prank. "How'd it go?" I asked Phil. "Okay," Phil said. "Steve was sweeping that dark corner when the skeleton reached out and grabbed him by the neck." "So it worked pretty well?" "Nothing spectacular," Phil said. "No screams or anything. Anyway, it's getting late. Why don't you get a hand cart, and we'll stand Steve on it and wheel him down to the faculty lounge and see if a cup of hot coffee won't limber him up enough to finish the cleaning the lab." Phil decided not to pull the skeleton arm trick on Raymond because, as he said, it might prove fatal. That would leave only Steve and me to clean the whole building. We thought of dozens of practical jokes to pull on Raymond, but none of them ever seemed to work out. Then one night I was sweeping up the fly room when an idea occurred to me. I got a hose from the supply room and I ran it up into one of the cages of flies, who responded by increasing their volume of buzzing to a deafening hum. Pulling the other end of the hose after me, I crawled under a nearby desk to await Raymond's inspection tour. The head janitor arrived shortly, muttering irritably to himself as he checked for dirt and dust. "What's this?" he muttered. "The fool has left his cart outside the door, and his broom's still here. Where'd he go?" He yelled out my name, or one of the names he frequently applied to me. I spoke into the hose in a high, squeaky voice. From the cage of flies came the tiny, pathetic plea. "Help me! Help me!" After Raymond's departure, I removed the hose from the cage and put it away. Somehow the handle on my broom had been snapped in two, and a chair knocked over, and there were some rubber traction marks on the linoleum, but no great damage had been done. Oh, I nearly forgot the scratches on the door, where Raymond had tried to claw his way through before remembering to turn the doorknob. Apparently Raymond had become entangled in my janitor's cart, because I found it tipped on its side halfway down the hall, with waste paper scattered hither and yon, and even still fluttering out of the air. There was no sign of Raymond. The next day Raymond asked for and was granted a transfer to another building. His replacement arrived that evening. He lined his 3 charges up in the janitor room and walked back and forth in front of us. "I don't know what happened here last night, but I understand from my friend Raymond that you're a bunch of wise guys. Well, don't think you can pull any funny stuff on me. I'm going to be watching you every minute. I find a speck of dust or dirt anywhere, I'm going to chew you up and spit you out. Now, any questions?" "Just one," I said. "What's that?" "You ever see the movie The Fly?"